It's a wonderful morning where we get to see what the God of our Father is doing in this place with such an explosive testimony that shows bringing back to life of someone who had actually lost their life and that they had lost everything, the essence of life itself.
Exactly, man of God. Last week, our father spoke about ministering to people who are struggling with addictions. Sure. And the day is coming. And as a preparation to that day, we are sharing today a testimony of the power of God in turning around somebody's life. The life had been dragged into mud, into hell because of addictions. But we thank God for our father and our mother that this man's life has been turned right round. And you will testify, you will see as we present the testimony, how much the power can transform from a life which was completely destroyed to somebody who is now being looked upon in the society as a man of repute, as a man of substance.
You know, you have said it right. You said how the anointing is able to transform. We are in a zone, we are in a season, we are also in a space where there is transformation that is happening in our lives. Even if we're going to try and ask each and every one of us in this place to actually take a picture of them 10 years ago and what they look like. I was actually looking at the clip that our father was ministering on that day, and I was saying, Doctor, is that you in that clip? And I think people who are tested will also see that definitely in this place there is a transformation on you, myself, and everyone else that is in this place.
Indeed. I think I was older that day. This young man was 20 years older. Today is younger. Everything is just turned around for all of us. So without further ado, people of God, just allow us to call upon Mrs. Moline Mashingaidze. She's not the person who had the challenge, but she is standing in for the gentleman who had the challenge. She's the mother to the gentleman. So let's just applaud her.
Round of applause.
We welcome you, Mama. And you know the story of you and your son, it's a very powerful story of a mother's love to a son. The son had been lost completely. You had lost him. But we thank God for the anointing in this place. And we thank God that you knew the place to report to. And now you have your son back, and he's doing marvelously well. And we are very glad about it. Maybe just briefly you can tell us what was happening to Jacob.
We are living in the days of Emmanuel and Makandiwa. There is a man we call a prophet who is, I think, not a prophet. When I look at it, I think he's in a higher rank than a prophet. So I have my son, Jacob. He's from my sister, my elder sister, who died in 1996. So after my sister died, I took up Jacob and lived with him. So from grade 3, I was living with him, and he went to boarding school up to Form 4. So in Form 4, he passed his O-levels.
We can see the picture of Jacob is the one in a, I'm not good with colors, but red, maroon, hat, something like that.
Yes.
Okay, so he's the one there. That's the young man, Jacob, when he was still in a high school or secondary school.
Yes.
Okay, you can continue.
This time, I think he was in Form 3. So after passing O-level, he was very intelligent, super genius. So he passed his O-level, and he asked me, Mama, I don't want to go back to boarding school. May you allow me to go to a day school? So I relented. So we found him a school in town. That was when he was going to A-level, Form 5. That is when all this started, and I didn't know. So after some time, he finished his A-level. He was banking school, and I didn't realize it because he was still intelligent in school. He was doing well in school, so I didn't notice anything because he was always a happy guy, and he would be always laughing and doing, so I didn't see any change in him initially. So after passing his A-levels, we wanted him to go to university, and I have a brother who got him a scholarship in Germany, but he started refusing to go to school, and we didn't know why. But then it started showing up that he was taking drugs, and he would go away for days from home, and we couldn't see him, and he could come back after 2 or 3 days. So as a mother, you know how painful it is. Unorwadziwa, mwana waunenge wachengetawo, wakudzawo, uchitarisira, kuti uchawanawo chakanaka kubva paari, asi mwana anongotanga kutoenda, otongoenda.
It's actually painful looking at your son whom you have brought up and he begins to behave like that.
So akambowana nzvimbo yetemporary teaching, ambva atotanga kuenda kunoticha, asi nekuda kwemadrugs akazongosiya nekuti aiti kana even aenda kubasa aingonostika pamberi pevana.
He found a job. He found a job as a temporary teacher, and he ended up, because of the drugs, he would just stand in front and he would just stick like that.
Kana kuti aingorega kuenda kubasa, kana kuti aingoita zvinhu zvisingatenderwi.
Sometimes he would just decide not to go to work. He would do illegal things.
I think you can see his picture on the screens. This is Jacob, right?
Yes, that is him. So after asiya teaching, angosiya ega asina kudzingwa, ndo paakatanga kuita zvechirasta, zvamuri kungoona izvozvi. Akangotanga kuita zvekuti one love.
After
Okay.
he just left temporal teaching without anybody having instructed him, and he became a Rasta, and he would just be shouting one love.
So one love yacho yaizoipira pakuti aitanga kutora zvinhu zvekumba achienda nazvo achinopa shamwari. Takatanga kushaya zvinhu kumba, ukangomubvunza kuti ko Jackie chakati chiri kushaya. He was not violent.
The only problem that we had with that one love is he just began to pick things from the home, taking them away, and you would ask him, how come we are missing things, and things like that.
So waiti ukamubvunza laptop yangu ndashaya, yaendepi Jackie? Waingopindira kuti mama mahora.
If you
You can
miss a
see the
laptop and
picture
ask
of
him-
Jackie there. That's the guy Aita Maora.
You can actually see this is Mahora for sure.
Saka zvakatanga kundidya moyo nekuti zvinhu zvazvaakupera pamba.
So it began to eat my heart because I was missing a lot of things at home.
Waienda kwemazuva akatora chinhu, omboenda kwemazuva kusvika mari iya yaanenge atengesa yapera.
When he takes something, he would go for days and he would only come back
All
after.
right, Mama, I will hold you there for a little while. So you also told us that at one time he went to the village and he stole something very significant from his grandfather. What was it?
Akazoti adaro aba zvinhu pamba zvinhu zvakati akaona kuti pamba hapachagarika. Akambva atiza ambva aenda kumusha.
After stealing a lot of things at home, he realized that it was no longer possible to continue living there. So he went to the village.
Aenda kumusha ikoko agara, akaba mombe mbiri dzasekuru.
When he stayed in the village, he stole 2 beasts from his grandfather.
So ini ndakafonerwa nasekuru vakabata demo vakati uya utore mwana wako.
And Sekuru called me and said, come and get your son.
Asi mwana angatotiza pamusha.
He had already left that village.
I think, people of God, you can see the severity of the matter, Doc. If you see someone now even having the guts to steal something as big as a cattle, as a cow, it's quite something very severe.
And you know, men of God, we discussed with Jacob. It's just fortunate that he stole from his sekuru. If he had stolen from someone else, you know, 1 cow is 7 years in prison, and 2.
That's 14 years.
Yeah. And when he ran away from sekuru now, where did he start living at?
Atiza isu hatina kuziva kuti mwana anga ari kupi, asi mwana akaita 2 months ndichishayiwa mwana. Ndaifona foni yanga yakatodzima. Asi ndakazoziva papaya atouya azonamatirwa naprofeti kuti 2 months dzataimushaya iye aigara musango.
After leaving the village, we looked for him and we couldn't find him. Even his phone was off and he was away for 2 months. We only saw him when he came to be prayed for by the prophet. He was actually staying in the forest.
You can see the image of Jacob there. He was deep down in the forest. Mama, you can now explain to us the day you came to the house of God for our father and our mother to minister to Jacob.
After 2 months dzekushungurudzika samai, ndaisarara, ndaisadya, ndandisisaende kubasa. Ndandatobatwawo nedepression ndakugara ndakarara.
For 2 months of all these struggles and pains from this son, I couldn't even eat, I couldn't even sleep. I was just in pain.
Just to hold off you there, Mama. You know, in our society, if a child loses the mother and you take over as the mother, you know, you discipline that child to a certain extent. If you overdo it, the society will say you are abusing the child. So you can understand what she was going through. That if she went overboard, the society would say this child is being abused. If you let back, they will say, Maregere Rangwana. You can understand it was a very difficult time for you. How did you make him to come to the church?
Ndakati ndashungurudzika kudaro nekurwadziwa nekutambudzika. Ndaingonamata zuva nezuva. Ndakarota profeti vachinamatira Jeki. Ndarota kudaro mangwana kuseni ndichimuka. Kwandiri yakava confirmation yekuti Jeki akupora.
After that dream, when I woke up tomorrow, in the following morning, it was a confirmation that Jacob was now being delivered.
So ndakatora ane mabhodhoro ake aimwa ebrongo, ane zvaiputa zvaizosara zviri muspare maairara. So ndakazvitora zvigaba izvozvo ndikazviisa mubox.
There are bottles of drugs that I took from his room.
Ndikapinda mota ndikafona. For 2 months Jeki anga asingadaire foni yanga yakadzima. Asi ipapo ndakafona. Jeki akadaira akati hello mama.
For 2 months I was calling him and he was not answering his call. But because of that experience of a dream, of a prayer by the prophet for Jacob, I called him and he answered.
Ndakamutaurira kuti uripi, akati ndiri mubhazi ndiri kuuya muHarare.
I asked him and said, where are you? And he said he was on a bus and he was on his way coming to Harare.
Saka kureva kuti murota kwandakaita achinamatirwa naprofeti anga atobuditswa musango naprofeti.
That means the dream that I dreamt, the prophet praying for him, is the time that he was delivered from the forest by the prophet.
It's all right, Mama. Ndichambokubatai ipapo. Let's just play the clip of when Jacob was ministered to by Baba, and then we'll talk about what happened later on. Man of God, this lady has got a son who is 29 years old and is addicted to
This
bronclear,
one.
the so-called bronco.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to go to work because of this. And he got a scholarship to go to Germany, but he refused. He just wants to get high on this drink.
My
And he's
God.
here, he is in this place.
Oh, he's here.
Yes.
Oh, so if he can come.
Jacob! Jacob Bonono!
Jacob is here. Let's put our hands together for Jacob. You said he's your what?
Ndakazomuchengeti baba wake hatovazivi saka anogara nanagogo asi kubvira form 4 ari kuboarding school achingomwa A-level akapasa asi haadi basa haadi kuenda kuchikoro anongoda kungomwa chete.
Ndatomuka nchibva kumarondera nhasi pandanzwa kuti kune chechi kunoku
Kunobatsirwa. Magona kandogona kakwakwama.
ndauda kuregedza zvese nefodya handichada
Hamuchada, maneta nazo.
ndatambura mudhara.
Tambura mdara.
Watch the reaction. Just watch what is happening. Just the hand of God. As the man of God is pulling, the power of God is pulling the young man. Look at the facial expression. To tell you something deep down has been triggered. Just look at that. Simultaneously, mother and child are being delivered. We can put our hands together for Jesus. We can put our hands together for Jesus. Hey,
Watch that.
Murushamiswa neko dread.
ndazokudonha plus ndikufila ndiri munyowani apa.
Eh? Chichaitika. Chichaitika.
ndanzwa simba idzva mukati mangu. Madrugs anga akundirwadza ndanda kunzwa pain mumwiri mangu kamalungs.
Ko yekuzodonha ichi chiri kuitika.
Ndikuziva zvofamba sei.
He is free now. No more. This is no more problem now. Okay? Zvatoita.
mama wangu anondida kuziva ndandimbotya kuuya ndakagara uku.
Vachimbotyira kuuya.
Nditenda mama wangu nemi profeti mugare makadaro munhu wamwari.
We can celebrate Jesus.
Thank you, media team. You know, you can hear the language and you can see the reaction that our brother Vekuchecha is somebody who is just coming from the jungle.
And you can actually see even from the way he's talking that this man is totally stoned.
Yeah,
This
he
man,
was.
this man was under the influence of drugs at that point.
Yeah. And Mama, just one question. Jacob was 29 years old. Did he have a girlfriend, or did he have any promise of ever settling down?
anga asina kana musikana, haana kana mbobvira aita musikana. Aitova neshamwari dzechisikana, asi kuti aroore aitawo musikana kuti iyi girlfriend yake hatina watakamboona.
He didn't have a girlfriend. He never had one.
People of God, Jacob is not with us. He's in the UK. He has a very good job. He now has a family. He stays. No, allow us to continue. He stays in a beautiful house. He drives a beautiful car. And we were able to have a chat with him on Friday. We did a Zoom call with Jacob and we recorded the call. And we're going to play this call and hear from him.
People of God, I just want you to just tell me what you think. What do you think Jacob looks like right now? I know I can bring the microphone to you, and all of you can't wait to see him. Maybe media team can now play the clip so that you can see Jacob for yourself. Media team.
Good morning, Jacob. It's our pleasure to see you and to see all the changes that have occurred in your life and how bright you are looking. Yeah, so
Thank you.
I just wanted us to have a chat and hear from you how you are doing.
Thank you. It's a pleasure sharing what the God is doing for me to share it with others.
Yeah, so I understand, or we understand you were ministered to by our father, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, in October 2017. And your life was not going on very well. What was happening to you, Jacob?
My life was going the opposite direction. In fact, growing up, I went to school, I passed my A levels, but from then I never wanted anything to do with the city. I wanted to stay in the rural areas. And I enjoyed taking drugs. To me, it seemed okay, but I've realized that my parents, it was causing a lot of distress on my parents. They were stressed so much because the things that I would do to acquire the drugs, they were terrible.
Wow. So which drugs were you taking?
I took mbanje and broncle mostly.
Wow.
Codeine.
So were you employed? How were you able to sustain this habit? Because these things, they don't come cheap. You don't just pick them in the street.
At first, I was employed as a teacher, but the money I would get paid wouldn't last even for a week. So I ended up quitting the job and started selling anything I could lay my hands on, from my clothes, my gadgets, some household appliances, anything I could lay my hands on to sustain the habit. Because it was too bad at a point that I needed 3 bottles of Broncle per day.
3 bottles of Bronclear per day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were costing between $6 and $10 during that time.
Wow. So you would need like a minimum of $30 for Bronclear
every
and
day.
some more money for Mbanje every day.
Yes, and what we call the dry mouth, because after taking them you develop a dry mouth, so you need something, some drinks and some things to soften up. So it was terrible.
Okay. So it was more than $40 per day.
Imagine, and
Wow.
earning less than $10, so you end up doing anything so that you can sustain the lifestyle.
Wow. Wow. You know, I had a chat with your mother, and she was saying you also at one time store some cattle in the raw areas.
Imagine, imagine, I sold my I sold my grandpa's cow and went on a drinking spree. Imagine the money for a cow during those days, it was 700. I spent it within 2 days, the money.
In 2 days.
It was finished.
Wow. And you know, you are very fortunate that these cattle belonged to your grandparents. If they belonged to someone else, they would have been in jail now. You know, one cow is like 7 years in prison. So did you by yourself try to stop this habit? Did you see it as a problem, or to you it was just life as usual?
To me, it was life as usual, but now that I'm delivered, what I've realized is it was a cause of concern to my parents. I was
Yeah.
causing them troubles, sleepless nights, a lot of stress. At some point, even my grandma developed the BP. You know, I was good. I was very bright in school, so everyone expected me to do well. I was offered. I should have come here in the UK way before, but I refused coming here. Just enjoying taking drugs. I thought my life was well. I was staying in the forest. You know, I had this mentality. What we say, I said I didn't want to stay in the city because since I was dreadlocked by that time. I was calling myself a lion, so I was saying a lion stays in the jungle. That's why I was staying in the jungle.
You know, I also saw your ID card your mom shared with us. And I was surprised the ID was taken with you in dreadlocks.
Yeah,
And you also looked like you were even high during the time when the ID was taken.
I was always high. I was always high.
Wow.
There
So
was this time
did you
my
have
mom was
any
running.
girlfriend or any lady whom you wanted to marry during that time?
You won't be thinking of ladies. Imagine I'll be only stressed with acquiring money for consumption. So ladies will be an unnecessary expense. I didn't have time for ladies, not at all.
So you're at the age of 29, you are hooked onto drugs, you have no relationship, the mother wants you to get married and to have some children, and all these things were not happening.
Not at all.
Wow. So
I
come the day
wasn't
when
even
you
thinking of
ministered to,
marrying.
your mother said she called you from wherever you were, and by divine providence or by a miracle, you agreed to come to church, and you met her at church.
Actually, she tricked me. By that time, I wanted to go to Mozambique. So she called that day. I told her, I'm not coming there. I'm going to Mozambique. Then she said, can you just come so that I can see you for the last time? Because it has been a while since I haven't seen her. Maybe I might top you up some money. That's what made me come to Harare. Then when I come to Harare, it was on a Sunday. I said, I left home. Can you come to church? But it
Yeah,
was a miracle for me to agree coming to Harare because I haven't been to Harare in a
wow, that's amazing. And it so happened that on that very day, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa was praying for people with drug addictions.
In the same day, I also saw a mother who came with his two sons who were hooked on Kachasu. When I saw those Kachasu boys being delivered, I knew I could be helped, but I didn't have the courage to stand up to approach the prophet. Then, from nowhere, my mom rushed to the prophet with a bottle of codeine.
Wow.
And that's when I was
then-
ministered. And I was surprised. Imagine, I was overwhelmed by Prophet's love, by Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa's love. Imagine, I was staying in the jungle with those dreadlocks. I mean, I don't know, they were not recharged, they were just growing. And me walking towards him, he told me, I see a gentleman in you. With the way I was looking at that time, no one would ever call me a gentleman.
Wow.
And with how dead I was, he even hugged me. I was surprised by his love.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Today we see a gentleman. And that was 100% prophetic. We see a very distinguished gentleman in you today.
It's surprising. Yeah, I'm even now called Baba Bonono. Me, I never thought of it. Me being called. Being called is a title, respected title.
You were the lion of the jungle.
Yeah, yeah.
So after the ministration, what happened?
I started to lose interest of Broncle and alcohol. My focus, my interest have changed.
Did you take any medications to help you wean off from these drugs?
No, I think what really helped me was the ministration of the man of God. And his love. Even the man of God even told me, I want to see you at church every service. I want to see you. I also started serving at church
Wow.
in the crowd control department. I think it helped me very much.
Wow.
The other day we were at City Sports, serving at the gate. You know, another pastor saw me and he was surprised because I had shaved my locks and I was now dressing in formal wear, of which I hated formal wear so much. The pastor took me to the prophet, and prophet told me, I've seen you have overtaken all. We're at City Sports, and said, oh, look at that gentleman, he has now overtaken all. During that time, it didn't make sense to me, but gradually, things started happening in my life.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yes. I started working in the city doing I'm a hairdresser. I was a hairdresser.
Mm.
And it helped me because I was located near to City Sports. During the youth services, they really encouraged me because I would not miss any service. I would just walk from my workplace to City Sports. When I was growing, and I was getting stronger. In
So the
2019,
hunger for the drugs had now been replaced by the hunger for the love of God. Every service you were coming, you were attending, you were just hungry for the things of God.
Yes, and serving in the house of the Lord. Through the sermons, I believe I learned a lot that serving in the house of God helps a lot.
Wow.
So it really helped me.
I just wanted to ask this question. When did you go to the UK?
I came here last year in June, on the 4th of June.
Wow. How did it go? We know it's not easy going to the UK.
It's not easy. I also thank our prophet for the platform he provided for us. You know, others they spend more than 6 months processing their papers to come here.
Wow, congratulations.
Me,
So what are you doing in the UK?
I'm doing next aid, but I'm in the administration part of the business.
Okay, wow.
I even sit on the board. Imagine from faculty to sitting on the board.
That's amazing. Yeah.
This is where I stay in Epsom. This is my garden. I have a very big garden, my backyard.
Wow. Imagine someone who is staying in the forest.
Imagine, now no need to buy roses. I can easily pick a rose and give it to my wife. Plenty of roses in the garden.
How big is the house? How many bedrooms?
It's a 3-bedroom house.
Wow. Wow,
This
that's
one
amazing.
from the outside, it's a conserved. Imagine just having a room to bask sun in. What is amazing.
That's amazing. And what kind of car do you drive?
This one, okay, this is the car I'm driving.
Wow, that's a nice Toyota. Is it a Toyota?
Yes, it's a Toyota Igo X. I bought it. Yes, it was brand new. I was the first to drive it.
Wow. This God is amazing. He has done amazing things for you, and we congratulate you for that. So, in terms of the family, your wife is also there in the UK with you.
Yeah, they followed. Imagine I came, they followed after a month. I came in June, they followed in July.
Wow, it's not easy for
And
families to join.
I even saw the end of God. My wife came when she was 8.5 months pregnant. You know, in the planes, they don't allow pregnant women.
Wow. So by grace, she went there and she delivered a baby there.
She delivered a baby boy. God is amazing. I'm now a father of 2.
Wow. It's amazing, somebody being taken from the forest and going to the UK. He now has a family. He now has a good job. He's staying in a good accommodation, driving a good car.
Now even considering buying a property here. By this time next year, I should have deposited mine.
That's wonderful.
Almost.
Congratulations. You know, it even shows that you are being very responsible with your finances, considering where you were before you went to the UK.
Yeah, before I was delivered, all my money would be spent on drugs, everything. I never thought of anything of planning for the future, but now I even have savings accounts for my kids.
Wow.
They now have thousands. Imagine my son is turning a year next month, but he has more than 1,000 in his account.
You're doing very well, my
God
brother.
is great.
What do you want to say to Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa and Prophetess Ruth
I
Emmanuel
just want to
Makandiwa?
thank the name of God. He has transformed my life. Imagine now I can even send my parents to holidays.
That's amazing. You know, your mother was telling us that she went to Israel for the ladies' tour and you sponsored everything for her.
Imagine, before I wouldn't even think of sponsoring her to go into the city.
Yeah, that's an amazing transformation. Congratulations, Jacob. We thank God for your amazing transformation.
Thank you.
And we just pray that you keep on in this grace. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I thank you for the opportunity to share and encourage others who are still hooked on drugs that we can change. Our lives can be better, we can change for the better.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Have an excellent day. Thank you. People of God, this is what the anointing of our father and mother can do. A life was completely turned around. You can see the images of before and after. Just imagine, it's the same guy.
That's why, people of God, I asked, I said, what do you think he looks like now? He's more than just a lion. He has been moved from the forest into the city, from the city going abroad to England. Look at that, people of God, from the forest to a family man. People of God, we need to just see what is happening in this place. This is a place of transformation. People's lives change. From the dead, you become someone who is staying in the skies. See him, he's now able to take his mother across the world. He's able to take care of his family. He's about to buy his first house. His child has got a savings account. He's no longer taking drugs. Everything about him is new. When you meet the prophet, everything about you becomes new. Come on, people of God, let's celebrate.
Just 30 seconds, Mama. What do you want to say?
As long as wapinda magedi aya, pane hope yeupenyu. Chese chaunofunga kuti chakaora, chinomutswa kana wapinda muno.
I want to say if
Now
there's a
my
woman
son
who,
is talking about ministry. Asi waigara musango. I have
We
the
skipped
privilege
that
of
one,
going
Mama.
to Israel last year.
Sorry,
Because-
Mama. We skipped that one. Jacob told us he now wants to become a pastor.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
I have the privilege of going to Israel last year because this one, Jacob, paid for my fares. So I want to thank the God of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa for giving us life, for giving us hope. In Jesus' name, thank you, Baba.
Come on, people of God. This is a story of restoration. A son brought back to her mother. Come on, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, people of God.